Hi everyone. Hi friends. Welcome in. Hi. Happy Friday. How is everyone? Need to journal. How are you? Tom, hi. Kiara, hi. Hello. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining, friends. Happy Friday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good time zone, wherever you are. I hope the weather is treating you okay. Um, it's a little bit cold out here, but it's sunny, so I'm happy. I love the sun. Hi, Carol. Hi, welcome in. Hello. Get comfortable. It's Friday, it's the end of the week. How has your week been? And what are your weekend plans? If you have anything fun coming up, let me know. If you're going to Chicago next week for the Stationery Fest, let me know. There's FOMO over here. Dustin, quack quack. I love your emote, by the way. That's so cute. Nice to see a live that isn't so early in the morning, Tom. Well, it's 9 for me, 9 a.m. for me, which, like, for me is kind of like the perfect time to get the day going. I'm way more productive in the morning than I am in the afternoon or evening, so streaming for me in the morning works. Um, Also, the kids are at school, so I get some like uninterrupted playtime with my stationery. And you guys keep me company, so thank you. It would be nice to go to a stationery fest. I know, I agree, need to journal. I would love to go to the stationery fest. I didn't go to Yaseka's last year, and I felt a lot of FOMO there because everyone was really excited, regardless of everything that sort of went with that. And also Chicago, everyone's sort of talking about going there, and I know a few people who are going. And yeah, but have fun. I mean, stationery fest, pen shows, all those things are really, really fun. So enjoy. Um, Quackity quack. I'm so glad you joined, Dustin. Um, so thank you so much for being here, spending your morning with me. If you're watching the VOD or the replay on YouTube, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being in the community. If this is your first time watching me, then just know this is a live stream, so it's gonna go probably 2 hours. So, grab your favorite drink, grab your sort of cozy coffee, tea, water, whatever. Just get cozy, hang out, chill. It's okay to have me on in the background. It's okay to lurk. Or if you want to ask questions or chat, that's okay too. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to throw an emoji in the comments so I can thank you for watching. And remember, if this is not your vibe, it's okay to leave. It's okay to bounce. You don't need to let me know. Just, find what works for you. Find your vibe. Find your community. And here we are encouraging, we're inspiring. We love art, stationery, all things fountain pens and inks. So that's what we talk about here. And we like to just hang out and just be chill, right? It's the end of the week. A lot of things are happening around us that cause us stress sometimes, whether it's your personal life or world events. And it's kind of nice to just unplug and play with stationery and enjoy your hobby, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And yeah, definitely, feel free to watch me in the background or come in and hang out whenever you want to. It's all okay. I'm gonna try and put timestamps also in the replay. So if you are watching on YouTube or on Twitch, then you'll see when sort of major things happen when I actually start to paint and stuff. So if you want to hop along and fast forward, that's okay. Your inks watching while watching Need to Journal? Yes, so we are going to play with some inks today, which is going to be fun. And I'll talk a little bit about the inks that I'm going to use too. I'm feeding my son breakfast so I can actually just sit and chill for a bit. I know, isn't that nice, Dustin? Just to like sit and chill. And your son's busy eating breakfast, so. And cats, yes. So on Wednesday's stream, I did some unboxing of stationery that I recently acquired. So I got the Dominant Industry ink journal log archiving book. This is a volume 2, so the second edition. And we kind of just rifled through the pages. And I have to say, these designs are really nice. And I am pleasantly surprised by how many cats actually show up in this book. So I'm glad that I went with this book. I don't have the first volume, but I just thought I would start with the second one and have some fun with it. So let me just, if you're joining me for the first time, hi, I'm Corolla. On socials, I'm from Corolla. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever. And I love stationery. I like to share everything about stationery, fountain pens, fountain pen inks. I love to paint abstract floral art in a unique style, and I share that process because I want to encourage people to be creative, to tap into their creative side, whether or not they realize that they have it. And so whether you're watching, tutorials on YouTube or attending workshops that I sometimes host at pen shows, I love to have people join me and have fun with their inks and their stationery too. So, welcome. Welcome to our space here. So today what we're going to do is we are going to paint in this Dominant Industry log book. And the paper feels really, really nice. It absorbs inks really well, so it handles fountain pen inks really well, and it's meant to be sort of a swatch book, right? So if you get new inks or you just want to play with your inks, this is a great book to use. Olive Octopus, who also streams on Twitch, has been painting in this book, as well as the previous one, I think, too. And Brad just got the second volume, and I hope he starts painting in it, which will be super fun to watch. And so, I thought I would crack mine open. And I really like this spread because of the cats and the books. And it's just really cozy, right? So, we're going to spend some time painting inside here in this book, and we'll have a little bit of fun. She's an excellent instructor. Yeah, need to journal. You took my class in SF at the SF Pen Show. Yes, and rumor has it I'll be teaching again at this year's SF Pen Show. So it is a good time. It is really fun. It's just very chill, right? So that's kind of my vibe. So the other thing we talked about on Wednesday was the Coffee Monsters Co. Anniversary sale part 1 is tomorrow on Saturday. So I don't know if you're getting anything, but I love Helen, so I can't wait to pick up a few things like the ink blob, no, not the ink blob, the Emoti blob pen rest. It's like a weighted pen rest for your fountain pen. And then there's like a bunch of doodle sticker sheets, and I love her stickers. So I'm gonna pick up a few things. If you are going to do some shopping with the Coffee Monsters Co., I just want to let you know that there is a code. So don't forget to use it. It's, I wrote it down too, because we write these things down. 3 squared for 15% off, and it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. And it goes until the 17th. And there's there's so many things that she's going to have available that, you looked on Facebook. Oh, you didn't see any coupon codes? Oh, Tom. So it's 3 squared is tomorrow's coupon code for 15% off. And it should have been, I think it was on the Facebook, featured post. So there's a post that Helen put up that has all of the information. But yeah, I mean, hi Jack Toy, dancing on in. Welcome. So that's one thing. And then part 2 of the sale is April 5th, which is when Helen releases the Esterbrook collab Esty, which I am definitely excited for. Hi, Butterfly Nick. Good morning. New here. Welcome. I appreciate you being here. Hello. Good morning. Oh, gamma gamma. Just breezes on in. Hello. 3 squared. Yes, Tom. It is. Let me just write it out. So literally written out 3 squared. Did I say 3 squared? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Did everyone see Carolina Penco updated its inventory online? Oh, that's good to know, Plain Water. Please, everyone, buy the new pens so I can't. Yeah. Everyone else, please go buy pens from Carolina Pen Company. I think I saw Jonathan uploaded a YouTube video of the Baltimore pen show pen. I think that's what it was. And it must have been like just to show off the pen or whatever. But some good pens. What size nib am I thinking? I'm thinking the journaler. It's either just like if I can get the journaler, I will get that probably. And if I can't, then I'll just go with a stock medium and then probably have Gina grind it into a journaler. I just think it's really special that the Esterbrook collab with Helen is not only a collaboration between Esterbrook and the Coffee Monsters Co., but it's also a collaboration with, they use material from Jonathan Brooks, so Carolina Pen Company, and then Gina does the grinding for the journaler nib. And so it's kind of like a group, not a group project, but everyone sort of, threw in their expertise. So I just think it's special that it's kind of like, it just brings in people in the community and it brings us together. So it's a special pen and it means a lot. It means a lot to the Coffee Monsters Co. So I'm just really, really happy that the collab happened. What are you thinking, Jack Toy? Oh. I just bought 3 new pens yesterday, so I am broke, Kiara. What did you buy? If you don't mind sharing, I would love to know. Do we know how many Esterbrook is making for Coffee Monsters? So Dustin, the question has been asked various times to various people. Helen has said that she won't share the exact number, just because she'll have a number of pens available through the Coffee Monsters Co. website. And then Esterbrook will have a number of pens available as well. And then the TCMC also has retailers around the world who carry her stock. And so I think there's going to be an Australian vendor. There's going to be a few around the world who will cater to, where you are in the world. And I think all that information, like who's going to be carrying the pens, is going to come out closer to the date so that you can kind of plan where you want to purchase from. Rumor has it also that Wonder Pens might have some inventory. They're located in Toronto. So my recommendation would be, if you plan on purchasing from the Coffee Monsters Co., she is based in Canada. But I believe that if you are in the States, then Esterbrook will be distributing it. So they'll be shipping it from the States to you. And if you are in Canada, then you can purchase it from the Coffee Monsters Co. or probably from Wonder Pens or elsewhere. I would have multiple, this is my plan, is I'm going to have multiple browsers open. So if I can't get, what I want from the Coffee Monsters Co. website, which is where I'm going to go first, of course, then I might try and get it from Wonder Pens or, an alternative retailer or Esterbrook or wherever. So I think you should be able to get one if you want one and you're there at the time of release, is what my thinking is that. I don't think it's going to sell out within seconds, and that's just me. I think that there will be enough inventory if you sort of have to use another retailer to purchase it. I think you'll be able to get it. If you come an hour later after release, I don't know. But I think if you go for time of release and you have, multiple retailers in mind, just in case you don't get exactly what you want, if you have a preference in nib or something like that, then you can always go to another retail site and find it. So that's my thinking. I think they have sort of allocated enough pens to, to be able to cater to what the community is for the Coffee Monsters Co. Esterbrook knows it's a big community. No one really knows for sure how many will sell, right? But I think they have sort of planned for a lot of people wanting it. So there will be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot. I bought 3 of the Twisbies on my wish list. Glow purple, glow green, and eggplant purple. I have the glow purple and I have the glow green. Great choices. The eggplant purple is really nice too. You're in between journaler and fine Jack toy? Yeah, I mean, you have a little bit of time to decide, but I would say I love the journaler nib. I think the journaler nib is probably among one of my favorite grinds. Just because it's very versatile and very smooth to journal with. It's like, for me, I have a broad journaler, which I had Gina grind at a pen show, and I use it on the daily. Like, I use it for daily journaling and just writing down events that happen throughout the day. And so I personally love the journaler nib. But yes, I mean, it depends on what size you like as a nib, and you can always get it custom ground later if you want. Only because I plan to get a future SD journaler. Oh, okay. Yeah. Not sure if you want 2 of the same nib. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, for sure. I have a broad journaler, so I wouldn't mind having a medium journaler, like the stock or the size that Esterbrook sells. I did see it listed on the Wonder Pens coming soon. Oh, did you, Butterfly Knit? Oh, yeah, it would go so fast, and I would assume that Wonder Pens has a smaller inventory than the Coffee Monsters would, right? Or Esterbrook would. So I think it's like a good alternative if you sort of have like both browsers open and you're kind of like, I need to get what I need to get. So yeah, whatever works. I was chatting with Esterbrook people at Baltimore, and they said that they have enough for the people who want one when it releases. Yeah, they were a little secretive, but pretty much said if you don't sleep on it, you should be able to get one. Yeah, Pinecone pens. That's basically the feeling that I got too, talking to them at the California Pen Show. So I'm glad you brought it up to them too. Is like, there is going to be a high demand, and I think they realize that. They are a little secretive about, how much they have on hand and etc. But, if you want one, I would say don't sit on it. If you want one and are able to get one. It is a special pen. It really is. It's a great collaboration. The material is beautiful. I saw what's it called? A prototype at the California Pen Show. And it wasn't the final version because the color was going to change a little bit. But I saw the grip section, the material from Jonathan Brooks, and the nib with the little emoji on it. So cute and so special. So if you are a TCMC fan, you want an SD, and you love that collaboration, I would definitely say don't sit on it. Go on release day at release time if you can, and try and pick it up from, whichever retailer that you want to support, and whichever retailer you can get it from. You're also a fan of Gina's journaler nib, Tom? Yeah, I know. It's great, right? Like, I'm a fan of all of Gina's nibs, by the way. I think Gina is a great nib specialist. But the journaler is very special, and I'm glad that Esterbrook carries it as one of their special nibs. Are any photos up yet? Library, if you go to the Coffee Monsters Co. website, Helen has it up. So it's the coffeemonstersco.com. Actually, let me just, I'll show you the link. I'll share the link with you. Here we go. This is going to let me copy. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay. I don't know why it wouldn't let me copy and paste. So on the Coffee Monsters Co. website, there is event information for the anniversary sale. There's a part 1 right above the countdown timer. There's part 1, a link, part 1 products and part 2 products. And so if you want to see what's being released tomorrow on Saturday, go to the part 1 products link and that will show you everything that's going to be available tomorrow. Anything that's marked as coming soon at the top is because it's, you know, limited to the event. You can you can sort of put in any like sticker sheets and stuff like that. So preload your cart. That would be my recommendation for sure. Anything that's available to buy now, preload it into your cart so that you don't have to spend time, you know, clicking on those things when it's release time. And then there's like a few things like the emoji lobster clasp charm, the adhesive sticky pocket. Those are all like really cute stuff. And of course, you know, people are going to want them. So at release time, just hit, you know, quick add or whatever to cart. And then there's a link for part 2 products. So if you go to that, it will show you the pen. So the fountain pen and the ink. And then the fountain pen has a couple of pictures. So you can get a little bit of a close-up of the nib with a cute emoji. And you can see the grip section too. So check that out. And then the ink too. You can sort of see a swatch of it and stuff. So Helen has said, that is cute, right, Lyra? Yeah, I know. And it's meant to be like the coffee themed, right? Of course. And so it's kind of like the iced coffee, sort of that look to it. And I think it's done so well and it's gorgeous. And Helen has also hinted or teased that there's a third product that's going to be added to this lineup, part 2 products, which I've also seen and is very cute and worth it. And that will be added soon and she'll announce it. And so I think closer to the date of release, so April 5th, you should be able to see everything and kind of just, you know, budget and plan accordingly if you're interested. That is pretty. I know. It's really, really pretty. And we're very, I mean, you know, like if you're into the Coffee Monsters Co., you know, Helen's really, really nice and kind. One of the kindest people I know. And she has a great community that is very supportive of her and very demanding of products. So if you want stuff, just be there for release. Oh, anyways, so yeah, so that's that. And on to other things. So yeah, this is the Dominant Industry log archiving book, which is great for swatching inks and stuff. I use this bookmark from the Coffee Monsters Co. This is like one of the journaling cards that Helen includes, one of the random ones. And I threw a pen loop on there, a Leuchtturm one, and water brush. So this is great for painting with inks too, because you can put water in here and dilute the ink, make it a little bit lighter on paper, and then you can layer on top with a little bit more ink to saturate it. And so that's what's great about using a water brush. You can find them anywhere. They're not expensive either, so that's handy to have. And a paint palette. I just used like a cheap one that I got from the dollar store. Pipettes. which are really handy to have. If you're painting with inks, I always take a couple of drops of ink from the bottle, add it to a palette, because dipping directly into an ink bottle with your paintbrush can leave residue and bristles and other things in your bottle. And so it's good to just kind of take away ink from there. And you don't need a lot, just like a couple of drops really goes a long way, especially if you're using a water brush and you're diluting with water. You're not going to end up using a lot of ink. And so the inks that I'm going to use today, we were talking about two new inks that I got from Wonder Pens. They're collaboration inks with Dominant Industry. This one is called Chicken in the Sky with Diamonds. This one is called Tuna and Olives. This is like a teal color. Tuna and Olives is like an olive green color. Very pretty. So we'll do a swatch. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to paint with the full collection, basically. I think they have limited edition shimmer versions of one of these inks or two of these inks, which I don't have, but these are their standard inks in their collection. So there's 4 of them. And these were the first 2 that they released, Tuna Grey and Ginger Chicken. And I mentioned in my last stream that chicken and tuna are 2 shop cats. So they're cats at the Wonder Pens shop, which is in Toronto, Ontario. And so they're kind of a play on the names and how they named the inks. So Tuna Grey is after Tuna the cat. Ginger Chicken is after the cat Chicken. And so Tuna and Olives and Chicken in the Sky with Diamonds is just like a fun play on the cats. And Tuna and Olives probably being a little bit of a play on like food. So yeah, they're kind of just fun. So we'll do a little bit of painting with these and I'll show you what they look like. But personally, I love these shades. Tuna Grey is like a gray that I use in my Pilot Custom A23 and I don't change it out. So I'm one of those people that have like a gray that I like, blacks that I like, brownings that I like, and blues. And I kind of just, like when I find something that I like, I stick with it. So Tuna Grey is kind of like my go-to gray. And I don't really, like I have other grays, but I don't really like stray from that. So, and if you have an A23, then you know it's, I don't know if you want to really switch out inks too often with it, because yeah, I don't want to clean it out all the time. I'm just gonna move this here. So that's a Tuna Grey is like a deep gray. Ginger Chicken is like a orangey brown. So it's like a warm tone, which is very, very pretty. I love Ginger Chicken and Chicken in the Sky. They're both great and go great together. Yeah, they do. I feel like all 4 inks, like they are just great shades. They're great colors, great shades. And yeah, and they kind of like, they're shades that I would use. And so having them in my collection makes sense. So Tuna and Olives is an olive green. And then Chicken in the Sky with Diamonds is like a really pretty teal. And I love that Dominant Industry includes pipettes in their packaging as part of the, so you can like, they're so handy, right? You can take out some ink and play with it, and or put it into little vials if you want. So yeah. So what I didn't do was I didn't get, oh, I have some water in my I have this empty Mont Blanc ink bottle that sits on my like desk or windowsill, and it has some water in it, and it's just for like if a nib doesn't write because the ink has dried a little bit or something. It's just like for dipping, but also for like if I need water for paints and stuff like that. So it's actually like it comes in handy. My fancy Mont Blanc ink bottle. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water from there, and I'm going to put it into this water brush. So just a little bit of water goes a long way, because you're not going to put a lot of water down onto a page. It would take forever to dry too. A nice Canadian person I bought a pen from on Instagram included samples of all 4. Oh, wow, that is nice of them. I had to get the bottles as soon as the samples ran out. Yeah. Oh, that's really nice of them for including samples. And I got these 2 bottles, Tuna Grey and Ginger Chicken, when they first came out, like whatever, a couple years ago or whatever. And then these 2 came out maybe a year ago, or maybe a little bit more than a year ago, something like that. But I didn't buy them initially when they came out, and so they sold out, and so I waited until they came back in stock, and I was like, maybe I'll get it another time. And they kept selling out, right? But the good thing is they kept bringing back more batches, and so finally I was like, you know what, I really want to get this book. And they had those 2 in stock, and so I just like added to cart. But I'm so glad I did, because now I have the collection, and also the colors are amazing. Do you ever do bleach washes with your florals, Gorilla? I don't, Dustin. Yeah, I don't, but it is interesting. I haven't tried. Maybe I will one day. Okay, so I love this book includes places for you to actually like swatch the ink and then write down what it is. So it is a great sort of, and you could do like quite a few, right? So it is a great way of doing like, if you get new ink bottles or new inks, it's a great way of swatching them and then using them to illustrate something. And they included this little handy little booklet on how to, like tips on how to use this, right? And so there's like a little bit of, like if this is your first time kind of painting with inks or something, they sort of give you tips on how to do it. And then also kind of show you how you can swatch them. And initially when I opened this book, I thought, oh no, like that's a lot of intricate details that you're trying to paint. But I think the point is to sort of do like ink washes, right? So just like you don't have to use different colors to color in or paint every single detail that's part of the drawing. I think the drawing itself sort of speaks on its own, and then using ink to add a little bit of background, a little bit of interest, I think makes it just a little bit more fun. So instead of, swatching in like on a blank piece of paper, you have a little bit of a design to do it on. So I think that's cool. So let's do a swatch. That's the gray. Yeah. It's the ginger chicken brown. Tuna and Olives, the green. And then this one will be Chicken in the Sky with Diamonds. My parents just arrived to hang out with the baby, so I gotta greet them. Yeah, no worries, Dustin. I'll be quack quack. Come back as soon as you can. It is all good. So this teal is Chicken in the Sky with Diamonds. So you can see how nice those shades are. And how well they go together too. So we're gonna do, because pretty palette. Yeah, I agree. Those inks look so good together. I know, I agree, Butterfly. So because they're after shop cats, which kind of makes sense for these inks, we're gonna do Tuna Grey. We're gonna do tuna as a couple of the cats, and then ginger or chicken as a few of the cats too. So let's do tuna first. Sleeping on some books. I'm going to absorb a little bit of the ink. It's a little saturated. So we're just going to pick some of it up. It's all good. And then add a little water. So that's tuna, and I think we'll add tuna here too. So it's kind of an exploration of ink, and also the use of water to dilute the inks. And so what you can do is kind of get a feel for how much water, how much ink to add, because you can always layer on top of a light wash of ink, versus if you put too much ink down, if it's too saturated, you can always pick up some of the ink with a paper towel or a shop towel, whatever you kind of have on hand, and very gently pick up some of that ink, and then add a little bit of water to dilute it again if you want. So let's see. Maybe we'll add gray here. And so that's what makes a water brush handy and also very versatile to use, especially if you just want to use one brush. You can use multiple paintbrushes if you want, dedicated to the different colors, which is kind of like, that's what I would probably do if I was using shimmer inks, just because it takes longer to get shimmers out of paint bristles. But when you're using standard inks especially, it's fine. So if you're changing between ink colors, all I would do is sort of press down on the barrel, get some of that water to flow through, and then just kind of wipe it away on your towel, and then you can move on to the next ink. Have you seen the cats in person at the shop? I have. I've only seen one of them, and I think it was chicken. I've been to the shop a few times, and I did see they're kind of like they come and go as they please, as cats would do. So they don't really stick around for too long, but I'm gonna do this one gray too. Have you been to Wonder Pens, Tom? Okay, so now I'm going to do ginger chicken, which is the brownish orange shade, and we're going to color in chicken. Who I think is the sillier cat of the two, and gets into a lot of mischief, I think. Or they both kind of get each other into some trouble. I haven't been, but I was wondering if these were shop cats or house cats. They are shop cats. I'm not sure if they're actually, like, I think they're also like outdoor cats. Like they sort of come and go. But I think I'm not exactly sure how that sort of works. I assume it's their cats. But I think they come and go. This is really soothing. It's really fun. I don't do a lot of coloring in with inks. I tend to do a lot more like, floral art and abstract stuff. And it's just like, just to play around with the inks and stuff. So, but yeah, I love how Olive Octopus does these, coloring in illustrations and drawing with fountain pen inks and stuff. So it's just, yeah, it is nice. I can definitely see how this would be like a great way to play with your inks and just, aside from filling your fountain pens, it's another way of using them up and exploring them. You do some blending too. So we have a little bit more saturated over here and then a little bit more watered down over here as I'm kind of getting to know how this works. The paper feels really good and it actually handles a lot of water. It's handling it really well because I'm sort of like, I'm actually putting down water on the paper and it's not too bad actually. All right, let's add some green to the books. And this green is Tuna and Olives. Also take some focus to actually paint with, or like color in with the inks. Like trying to stay within lines. I love the abstract florals you do in your inked videos. Thanks, Red Kite. Yeah, it's sort of like, it comes naturally to me after practicing for years. And so I don't have to do a lot of thinking while I do it. And it's it's like I'm kind of focusing on staying within the lines here. But with abstract florals, I'm not thinking too much about the process. Just kind of going with the flow and stuff. So this is a little out of my norm. And it's fine. I mean, you know, like there are lines here which you can go over and make it a little bit more, you know, abstract and let the ink flow a little bit more. But it's also kind of fun to concentrate and, you know, instead of your mind wandering and thinking about what you should be doing and all the things that you need to be doing and getting done today, instead of thinking about that, you can think about simply just getting some color on paper, staying within lines, you know, adding water or adding more ink. These are all sort of things that you can think about while you're doing it. And it's just enjoyable. It sort of makes you think about simpler things. I've tried doing florals the way you do, and it feels very stiff. I think I need to practice until I can do it without thinking. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it does take practice. And I think the other thing it sort of takes is giving yourself permission to play with the inks and go with the flow. And I personally am a perfectionist. Like I as you can see, I do like sticking, you know, within lines, within a box. I like things looking neat and aesthetically pleasing. And so why I love practicing abstract florals is because I found a process that lets me step out of my usual perfectionist mode. And I think it starts with giving yourself permission to not expect a certain outcome. So you're not expecting to look a certain way. You're not expecting it to look perfect or, you know, artsy or whatever, you know. And I think it kind of starts with that. And then, like in my workshop, that's how I kind of start with is mindset. I think mindset is super, super important when you're doing art because a lot of times we come in with expectations of us and of what our art should look like. You know, either you want it to look like someone else's that you've seen and you want to mimic that, or you think that, you know, or you expect yourself not to be good at something and you kind of put that expectation already out there before you even create anything. And, you know, those are all things that we all grapple with, right? Especially if we find joy in creating and making art. A lot of times our expectations get in the way of what we actually create because we're putting limitations on our art. And I kind of start with the mindset of like, let yourself play first. And I firmly believe that if you enjoy the process, if you're having fun, then the outcome is going to reflect that. And a lot of times what happens is when they lose themselves in the process of just having fun and enjoying what they're doing, a lot of times you don't even expect what comes out. And so the end product or the end sort of art piece, when you look back at it, a lot of times you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you can actually create, right? And it will look like you, like it'll be your style. It'll be, something that speaks to you and that's unique to you, right? And so that's the part of my workshops that I love is when I meet people who go into it thinking it's never going to look like yours. It's never going to look like, this and that and whatever else. And I love, talking about mindset and all that stuff. And then in the end, I love going around and actually like looking at what people create. And a lot of times, if not all the time, they'll say, I actually love what I made. Like, I did not expect this. I didn't think going into it that I would, draw a certain type of flower or a certain, piece of art. And what results is something that surprises them in a good way, like a pleasant surprise. Absolutely true. I've started a daily journaling habit end of January in an old A6 Hobonichi weekly supplement. Yeah, like those. Somehow they provided structure, which I ignore. Yep. Helps to take away the pressure that I put on myself to make it look perfect. Exactly, Red Kite. Like that's exactly it. And that starts, right, with you having that mindset of not needing to follow the structure that they give you, right? And for me, it's kind of a balance between the two, right? So I have planners and books that I follow the structure of. And then like you, I have older books that I don't follow the structure of. Like I have a notebook that I use for just like stream of consciousness journaling. And it's literally that. It's just, I write whatever I want in it. And it's actually one of my favorite notebooks because of that. Like I don't follow any rules. I can doodle in there if I want to. No one sees it. It's just for me, That has allowed me to try different ways to decorate it with ink. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is a lot of times when we create or when we write or when we have a journal, a lot of times what ends up happening is we want it to look good. We want it to look aesthetically pleasing. And we're like, oh, well, maybe I'll share this on Instagram and, or maybe people will see it. And that in itself creates pressure because then all of a sudden you're thinking about, what people are going to think of what it looks like. And right away you're putting a limitation on yourself. And if you have a place that no one else has to see, like, hey, if you want to share it, great. But I would go into it thinking, this is just for me. And then just create, just write, just use the space however you want to. And a lot of times you'll actually enjoy that space because it is just for you. And you'll enjoy it because it's freeing. And there isn't an expectation. Yeah, and who knows what it ends up. Like I love the I had a Hobonichi Day Free a few years ago that I used as like an ink journal or ink notebook. And in it, I just kind of, I just took notes on inks and like did swatches and stuff like that in it. And I actually love that because the Day Free has like in the front, it has monthly pages. So it's structured in a way. And then following that, it has just like empty pages, empty grid pages, right? And I love that because there was no structure or like no expectation of what to put on those pages. And all I did was just like put in swatches or like notes on inks that I love and stationery shops that, what I purchased from them and like my haul and stuff like that. And I found that it was actually really enjoyable to use it like that. And so now I kind of like, I keep a notebook that's just for, or a planner that's just for my interests. And I use it however I want. Like the monthly pages I use for ink swatches. So I'm not really like following for monthly reasons. And then the weekly pages I use just for like taking notes on what I'm watching or listening to or, experiencing hobby wise. And then in the notes section, I just put like book review notes and stuff like that. So yeah, reusing old journals and old notebooks is a great way of like, is a great way of like exploring your other interests or journaling and stuff like that without having like this, pressure of like, I have to use this book a certain way, which we all do. We all have that pressure. I like that this page is like the saturated page, and then this one is sort of like the muted version of these inks. I think I actually like that because it shows me what the inks would look like when they're not super saturated. And it's basically like mostly water, a little bit of ink. Like I love that green too. When it dries and it has this like the ink pools, I guess when that dries. It's very cool. So I'll let a little gray in here. This is a really nice gray. like that green color. The gray is nice too. Yeah, I agree. It's very nice. I'm usually one for like blues and teals and greens, sort of the calming tones. But there's something about a good olive green that like gets me. It gets me. It's just the shade is like really nice, and then it goes so well with the orange. It's like orange and green. And orange is like, you know, the the brighter shade, and the green sort of tones it down a little bit. Even the gray and the green is a good combination. Yeah. And then once the ink dries, you can layer a little bit more ink on top, just to create shadow or a little bit more, just add a little bit more interest to it. Especially if it's kind of like a wash. If you're using a lot of water, your first layer could be just the foundation, and then the second layer you can add detail or play a little bit with more color. So that's kind of it. It looks really nice. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a little bit more ink on top. It dries really quick too. I'm actually surprised at how quickly the ink dries on this paper. Yeah. And it's not too, like, it doesn't warp the page too much. Like maybe a little bit. But actually, yeah, it's really good. Because then that way you can paint on the other side and it's not like a warped image. I may need to try that green. Oh, it looks fantastic. Hi, Addie. I recognize you from Brad's stream and also from Instagram. Welcome in. I might need to try that green. The diamonds one looks like a good match for the Sailor Dragon Palace PGS. Oh, okay, yes. It's not my typical color, but it looks nice for spring. Yeah, it is definitely a spring color. I agree. I think these are like great combinations for a spring. And just a little bit of brightness. Yes. Haha, yes, the ink pony. Ink pony club. So we do when we're painting with inks. The ink pony club. So we're just playing around with inks and testing out this dominant industry ink archiving book. Hi, Zodiac Pens. Welcome in. Happy Friday. What are you up to, Bart? Are you working on pens or doing something else? Let's add a little bit more gray. Working my real job today. What? Making pens is your real job. No, I get it. Though making pens is a job, for sure. Making anything is a job. The green is everything. I'm definitely going on my, yes, you're putting it on your buy list. The green is so good. So I was looking at Emotional Olive from Teranishi Guitar because I think it is like another sort of olive green shade and it's really nice. But then I decided to go with Tuna and Olives just because it is, local. It's a Canadian collaboration, but also because this olive green is like, if you're into olive greens, this is it. It's really, really nice. I think they have it like spot on. It's not too dark. It's not too dark. It's not too light, but it is really olivey. But it's great for like a leaf shade, foliage shade. Yeah. I've only worked 4 days in a month, so it was time to come back. Oh, Zodiac. Is there shimmer in any of those or just shading and sheening properties? Yeah, it's mostly just shading. There is no shimmer in these ones, but actually I keep mentioning it, but I don't know for sure, so I'm going to look it up. For Scriptus, which is the pen show in Toronto, let's see, it might be for Scriptus, I think 2 years ago, Wonder Pens decided to do like a limited show release of a couple of their inks with shimmer in it. So I'm just looking to see which one it is. Oh, here it is. I found it on the Wonder Pens site. So it's a ginger chicken. Let's see. It's a ginger chicken and Tuna Grey. Well, I can only see the ginger chicken, but on the Wonder Pens page, oh, it's sold out too. So they did an exclusive show only shimmer version of ginger chicken, which is the orange brown. And I think they had some left over, and so they put it on their site, but now it's sold out. So I don't know if they'll bring it back, or what's the name of the green ink? Yes, the green ink is Tuna and Olives. And it is an exclusive to Wonder Pens because it's their collaboration ink with Dominant Industry. Yeah, so I don't know if... I know their shimmer inks did really well, so I don't know if they'll bring them back. But these are their 4 sort of standard collections. Collaboration inks. These 4. I prefer no shimmer, so standard is great. Yeah, no worries, Butterfly. Yeah, so none of the 4 standard collaboration inks have shimmer in them. So they're just standard inks with some shading. Well, that looks cool. What a great way to swatch your inks, play with them a little bit, and get a feel for the different colors. And I love that the paper actually, like the quality of the paper, it reflects the inks really nicely. Like it doesn't look too muted, or, you know, it absorbs it really nicely. So we'll write the names of the inks. Let's see. So let's do Tuna Grey. And then this is Ginger Chicken. Tuna and Olives. And then this is Chicken. Oops. Chicken in the sky with diamonds. And then we'll do a header. Dominant Industry. Oh, bye, butterfly. Have a good day. The male person. I have a good view of the street, and I think there's a male person. So, anyways. Yeah. Yeah, have a great day. If you gotta go, it's all good. I'll see you next time. And remember to play with stationery. Have fun with your inks. So, what I'm gonna do, so this is basically the ink archiving book. I just kind of wanted to get a feel for it, to see how the paper handled the inks, which I knew was going to be good, but I just kind of wanted to test it out. And I love how it's sort of reflecting the properties of the ink, whether it's like shading, or I'm sure shimmer inks would be really nice in here too, so I can't wait to try them. And it handles water really, really well. So if you do use a water brush, don't be afraid to put a little bit of water onto the page just to dilute the ink a little bit. Especially if you put a lot of ink down and it like oversaturates. Feel free to blot out some of the ink and then add some water to dilute it. And just have fun. I tried to stay within the lines, but it's not mandatory. I don't think it's a rule. And then there's so many other fun designs in here too. And a lot of them have, or like some of them have cats too, which is very cool. But just the designs, like how intricate they are. Some more cats on books. And there's like space for you to swatch the inks. So you could sort of color this in with the ink, but then there's also like pages for you to like draw or write as well. So that's kind of cool. So I think what we'll do is, I have a little bit more time if you want to hang out. I'm going to do a little bit of, and I have some ink left in my palette, so I'm going to do a little bit of just abstract painting because it gets my mind off stuff, and you can join me if you want, or you can watch, you can chat, and try it out later. So, let's see here. I use the Everyday book from Galen Leather. It has TRP. This is kind of my sketchbook / painting book for this year. And it's a standard size. So it's portable. You can throw it in your traveler's notebook cover. And just have it on the go. I like the size. This is the one I did. I don't know. This is the one I did in my last stream. This actually was like all of the shimmer inks. So you can see the shimmer a little bit. There we go. Shimmer inks are really, really pretty to paint with. Some of my favorite inks to paint with are shimmer inks. And then this is what we did in our last stream. Because I got the Pen Addict Fire on Fire on Fire shimmer ink. And then I got these two Dominant Industry Wonder Pens inks. And so I just decided to paint with them, and then fell in love with how they look together. And I would say, the Fire on Fire on Fire is like a vibrant, bright orange. Ginger Chicken is a little bit more brown, gingery. So we'll see, but I think, they'll still look really, really good together. So let's paint with them and see how that turns out. Let me I usually use just standard sort of nondescript paintbrushes. And I use one paintbrush per ink, just so I can blend, and I don't have to worry too much about having to rinse them off in between using colors. So the water brush is great though for like portability, and also if you're using it in a book or something where you're not like you're not doing a lot of painting, you're not putting down a lot of ink or a lot of water, so it's easier to use a water brush that way. I'm just reorganizing my desk a little bit because I don't want to spill anything. Okay, there we go. It's a good combo. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's really nice. Okay, so usually when I start painting abstract florals, I usually just start. That's like the easiest way of explaining how to do, like how to play with inks, how to do them, how to sort of enjoy them in an abstract way is just start. Pick a paintbrush, pick a color that you're going to begin with, and then just put it down. Just go. Before you sort of talk yourself out of it, or, you know, you're like, oh, I need it to look a certain way, and, you know, so I just start. I kind of just put them down and make abstract shapes. And then I kind of build from there. So we're just kind of have fun with layering. We'll put some of this ginger chicken brown on top, on the side. You can play a little bit with blending, even though blending with gray isn't really going to do much for us. So I like when you're blending inks and it kind of surprises you in terms of like the color that sort of comes out. Or I love watching inks bleed into other colors. So I kind of see a little bit of that ginger chicken bleeding into the gray, which is nice. Then we have the teal, chicken in the sky with diamonds. This really pretty, cool green teal color. And you can sort of throw that into another color. Let's see, this was ginger chicken. So I'll add that into the teal a little bit. And then our last color, which is the Tuna and Olives. I have to say this is my favorite from their collab collection. I love this green a lot. And so, yeah, I usually use the green for the leaves. And I tend to pick a broader brush. that has a rounder tip. And what it lets me do is push down on the bristles. And when you lift up, it just naturally does this sort of leaf shape, right? And super, super easy, but really fun. And then you can sort of angle the brush in different ways to get different shapes. That again, you can kind of push down, lift up, and yeah. This looks great. So good. Thanks, Tom. So yeah, again, what I was saying earlier about like no expectations. I don't know what something's gonna look like when I start, and I don't care. For me, it really is about shifting a mindset of it's not about creating something that you have in your mind. It's not like you're putting a vision down onto paper, which you can do with other forms of art. But this type of abstract floral art for me is just a way of like having fun with the inks, and basically like just like all I'm thinking about is kind of composition, right? I'm kind of thinking about where there's more white space, and it's a little bit of a balance. Like I do like keeping some of that white space, just because like you could do it this way too. This, where you're just putting a lot of ink down, filling the page up, and that's fun too, right? But when I'm kind of creating this like bouquet look, I like to play with some white space on the sides and balance it out with leaves that kind of encircle the whole bouquet. And then in here, it's all free space. It's space to play with. It's space to do some blending. So we can see some of that gingery sort of orange brown color blending with the teal here too. Some gray with the ginger chicken color, and some of that brown in the gray as well. And so when your ink is wet, that's kind of the best time to blend another color into it. So you're using the wet on wet technique. In painting, when you have a wet element like the ink or paint, and you're adding another wet element to it. And it's kind of fun with inks because not only can you add sort of like, like a shade or shadow to your drawing, but it also lets you sort of mix two ink colors together, which you can also do on the palette itself before you put it down on paper. But it's kind of fun to do it on paper. Just like create a mess. Just have fun with it. It's so easy for me. Well, I have been doing this for a few years, Tom, so I kind of have played around with, different sort of elements and composition and stuff like that. And I feel like if you do it often enough, if you're practicing painting, or, you're playing with inks and stuff, you do develop muscle memory, and the next time you paint or you do the same thing, you'll find that your hand sort of does start to guide you a little bit, just because it's used to certain strokes, it's used to certain movements that you're making. And so as you're adding to that with more practice, you can sort of do it faster, or like fine tune the way that you do it to make it easier and more enjoyable for you. It's kind of nice to use up that ink too, so you don't waste it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had some on the palette. So, I mean, you could do another, like you could paint another illustration, or you could do this. Sorry if I missed this. Was the ink diluted with water or just used as is for this abstract painting? I want to give this a try tonight. Oh, I hope you do, Addie. So what I did was, no, I just put a few drops of ink directly from the bottle onto a paint palette, using these pipettes or, you know, whatever you sort of have on hand. And then I directly dip my paintbrush in the ink and start to paint. As you start to paint, what you can do is dip your paintbrush in water, add a little bit of water to dilute your paint. Either in the palette you can do it, or on the paper itself. But I find that like you don't really need to dilute the ink for it to, like, as you're painting on paper, you can move the ink around, and so you're kind of like, you may have a little bit of saturated ink from the start, but as you sort of move it across paper, it will be less saturated, right? And so you can add a little bit of water to that if you want to dilute it a little bit or make it lighter as well. Yeah, good question. I'm definitely taking your class on your next hour. Oh, I would love to have you, Tom. And it's a 2-hour class, so we definitely go through it step by step. We do a little bit of practice before, you know, we tackle a piece. Because I know it can seem really intimidating because, like, I just kind of dive in. And that's what I'm telling you to do, just dive in. But usually, like, when I'm doing a class or I can tell when people are a little bit nervous about painting with inks. Especially if it's like floral or something that they don't do or they don't think it comes naturally to them. I do take time to, like, let's do practice shapes, and sort of part of it is relaxing your hand. And so just doing relaxing movements, getting ink on paper that's not going to be your final piece is also like a relief some of that pressure that you have coming into it. I understand composition, but I've never tried painting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no worries, Addie. No problem. Yeah, I do talk about a few sort of foundational theories and stuff like that when we paint. So like composition being one of them, wet on wet painting techniques is another. So there's a couple of things that you can kind of keep your mind thinking about as you paint. Not to focus on, like, not to obsess about like composition or, you know, oh my goodness, you know, I have to blend and all this stuff. It's more so because as you're painting, I want my hand to just do its thing, to guide me, to go with the flow. And I want my mind to think about something, right? A lot of times we end up sort of thinking about what we're doing, and that limits our hand being able to just like do its thing, because we're sort of thinking about it. When you're overthinking something, right, you end up messing it up, right? You end up making mistakes because you're thinking too much about what your hand is doing. And so giving your mind something to think about aside from that lets you sort of free up that expectation. So I sort of think, let's think about like blending, you know, let's think about, do you want to mix a couple of the inks? Like, you know, if you have certain inks that you can mix and come up with different colors and different shades, then that could be fun too. And that way you can sort of explore different like ink shades, which is kind of fun, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna do a swatch of the ink here. Yeah, so Addie, in between like dipping my paintbrush in the ink, I'd sometimes tend to sort of dip it in water And then I just kind of dry it off on this shop cloth over here. And so what it does is it naturally sort of dilutes a little bit. And that way you can, like, your ink will last a little bit longer as well. Not that we're using a lot of it, but so that in itself sort of gives you a little bit of, right, that ink pool and stuff. There we go. So I'm just waiting for this ink to dry so we can draw on top of it. That green is like really nice. It's just sitting on top there. But I like if you have time at home, or like when you're doing this on your own time, if you have time to let it sort of sit in the sun and just naturally dry, then that's kind of my preferred way of doing it, because then you can see the shading and, like, you know, the different ink lines as they dry. And I love that. Like, I love that look of it. Yeah, it's fun to see how it all comes together. I know, I try and like, I do YouTube videos and stuff, but you know, it's not the same as like doing it live, which takes a little bit longer. But yeah, you sort of see the process, right? And it makes it I hope it makes it a little bit less intimidating. Instead of watching a video and you're kind of like, oh no, you know, it just goes from like putting ink and now it's dry, and then, you know, the end product, and it's kind of rushed through a little bit. So that green is really good, Tom. Yeah, I really like it. So one thing you can do, like I said, you can either let it sit and just let it dry, or if you have like a heat tool, a hair dryer or something like that, you can also, you know, just kind of heat it up a little bit, and that will accelerate drying time. Or in my workshop, what we do is we just take blotter paper and just blot. So we just gently put it on top, and it will lift up the ink because it will absorb it. So whatever's not dry and it's just kind of sitting there wet, it will pick it up. And so with standard inks, it's fine, right? With shimmer inks, sometimes you end up picking up a little bit of the shimmer, which, you know, it is what it is. So just be aware of that if you're going to do that. So yeah, kind of picks up that ink. But also, you know, like, I personally don't have a lot of time to sit and paint, and unless I'm on stream. But I don't have a lot of time, as everyone else, right? We're rushed. We have other commitments. We may only have like 5 or 10 minutes to really enjoy something or to play with something. And a lot of times we end up talking ourselves out of doing something like this or doing art, because in our minds, it's like the effort of it is like, is it worth it if I only have like 5 or 10 minutes? And so, you know, if you can make it the least amount of effort with the most amount of fun time, then you're probably more likely to do it. And so what I like to do is have a few vials of inks on my desk, or you can sort of like prep beforehand and have a few drops of ink on your palette before you're even going to start. And what I do is I kind of like, you know, I use those little vials, and I just kind of, I have paintbrushes on hand, I dip them in and I start to paint. And yeah, if you don't have time to sit there and wait for this to dry, by all means, know that there are other ways to accelerate it. So I'd rather just like blot this out and then move on than sort of talk myself out of doing it in the first place because I feel like it's going to take too much time. It won't. You don't need a lot of time, especially doing this abstract style. And that's partly why it's abstract, is because we don't have time to sit there and sort of paint these beautiful flowers. And if you do, then that's great. And that's how I kind of started with this, is practicing sketching floral bouquets. But I did feel like it took a lot of time. And if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate to making an art piece, then this is kind of a good sort of in between, right? Like it's sort of like a fun way of just using up inks, playing with inks, and also just doing a little bit of art. And then you can go back to your work or whatever you kind of need to get done. So the first stage of painting with inks is making sort of these abstract outlines. And then I can kind of see like, where the different ink outlines are. And for me, that's kind of a guide for my eye to decide where I'm going to put flowers. Obviously, these I've already sort of dictated are leaves because of the shape, because of the color. And the rest, like in between, are just going to be flowers. So to draw the flowers, you can use a fine liner, which is obviously like the easiest way of doing it, is just to have like a pen or a fine liner or a fountain pen. But when I do have a little bit of time, I like to use a Kakimori nib. Stainless steel is my go-to, and the Kakimori pigment black ink. Just because it sits on top of standard inks versus you know what I mean, versus like getting into the ink and then starting to blend with the ink that you already have down. So the Kakimori nib, it's a beautiful nib holder. It's a collaboration nib holder between Amarillo Stationery and River City Pen Company. So Rich from River City Pen Company makes these beautiful nib holders. This one is a standard size. I also have a couple of the mini contoured nib holders. So they're slightly smaller, right? So you're missing this height of it. But they're also very portable, right? So they feel comfortable to hold. They are fun. They're comfortable to hold. And they're great for the Kakimori nib. I also like that Rich puts these inserts versus like metal claws, which can rust after a little while. So this is also fun because this is another way of like letting your mind sort of wander or take a break while you're letting your hand do a little bit of drawing. So you're letting your hand guide you a little bit. And like I mentioned, I use the outlines that I created with the inks as a guide for like leaves or flowers. And what I do is I just kind of go around. It doesn't have to be right to the ink outline, like it doesn't have to be right to the edges. I like playing with white space. I like playing with that a little bit to give it some interest. And with flowers, what I do is I kind of just glance at it and decide what direction that flower is facing. And I kind of like playing with like flowers looking like facing upwards to the side, flowers directly facing me. And that's kind of how bouquets are, right? Like they're all kind of facing in different directions. They're all kind of imperfect a little bit. And so I start with the center of the flower, which is kind of this sort of bold, these bold lines. And then I just follow the outline. very like squiggly shapes, very imperfect. And then I draw petals that come out, petals that are on the back, petals that come out the side, different shapes of flowers. And you can sort of layer petals on top of each other a little bit. And I start from the corner top and I work my way down, just because I don't want to smudge anything. And I like the Kakimori nib because the way you angle it will dictate how much ink is put down. And so when you're angling it downwards, closer to the paper, you can do these bold sort of lines. And if you angle it up a little bit, you can get a little bit more detailed lines. It also holds a lot of ink, so you don't have to constantly be dipping into the ink pot or the ink bottle. Is that the Kakimori ink in black? Yes, it is. It's just the regular old pigment ink. So I haven't actually inked up a fountain pen with this Kakimori black. I use it specifically for this, and so that's why I don't mind just dipping directly into the bottle. But yeah, it's a great standard sort of black ink, especially if you like bold pigment inks. I thought that is what you said, yeah. Those lines really add the finishing touches. Yeah, I agree, Tom. And that's why, like, when you first start painting sort of these abstract outlines, I kind of like pausing and looking at it, because when you look at it, it looks very like, you know, you can kind of see maybe some floral outlines there. You can probably see the leaf shapes. But other than that, there's like no detail, right? It is literally just like blobs of ink. It's just, you know, just these sort of oval shapes, and, you know, you can kind of make out some sort of outline, but not any details. And so when you're drawing on top, I love that process of like, I didn't really know how many flowers I was going to draw. I didn't really know, you know, what shapes they were going to take specifically. And, you know, these sort of like jagged lines are really fun and interesting, because they're kind of like that like urban sketching kind of vibe. And once you're done, it's always kind of fun to like look to take a step back and look at it, because yeah, like look at those colors coming together now, right? And I find like this sort of pigment or deep black ink pulls out a lot of those ink details, right? So now we're kind of seeing a little bit more, like our eyes are kind of drawn towards, because we've sort of sectioned out where I should be looking. And a lot of times with abstract art, you're kind of giving your eyes a clue of what you're supposed to see, but you're not like, it's not so detailed that you can make out like what kind of flower it is, or, you know, all those little details, which you can definitely add in if you want. But again, you know, I like this sort of style because we're not taking away too much from the inks themselves. We're kind of just enhancing them a little bit. And we're kind of showing them off in a way that's pleasing to the eye still. So even after painting in the ink archiving book, and also painting, just putting ink down on paper, we still have a lot of ink left, right? So when I say like when you're painting with inks, you only need a few drops. It's because like it does go a long way. And yes, you can add a little bit of water and dilute them a little bit. As it dries, you'll still see those ink pools, and you'll still see where the ink is saturated. So you're not going to really take away from the ink color themselves. But yeah, they do last for quite a bit. So this was chicken. In the sky. With diamonds. Tuna and olives. Ginger chicken. And Tuna Grey. So, let's see. Oh, thanks for joining, Tom. I'm so glad you were able to catch this too. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you try this out and have some fun with your inks too. So this is what it looks like. I love how these inks came together and how they go so well together, I think. And really that orangey brown with the teal and the green and gray is really nice. So that's like look at this lineup, right? They're really nice inks together. And that's that. I love watching you do the abstract florals. Oh, I'm so glad you're watching Need to Journal. Yeah, I love, I love showing off or sharing my process. And I love showing how easy it is to have fun with inks and paints. And, you could do this with watercolor paints too. And just like use your stash. Use your stash. Use your inks. A lot of us have a lot of bottles of inks for our fountain pens, and we're never gonna go through it all. Like Tuna Grey, I constantly ink up in a fountain pen, and I still have plenty. So don't be afraid to paint with it or to use it, because you are not going to run out. You'll have plenty of ink left. But it's really enjoyable, and it lets you sort of experience the inks in a different way than you would in a fountain pen, especially if you're the kind who, like, if you prefer sort of extra fine fines. You'll get those ink properties coming through, but this is a different way of experiencing shading and sheen and all those fun properties that maybe we don't see when we're like doing daily writing with our fountain pens. So it's kind of fun to do it this way and enjoy our inks. That's kind of the gist of it, isn't it? Just to like enjoy our inks and have fun with it, have fun doing it. And it also gives us some time to just like relax and have a little bit of fun, right? So yeah, I'm gonna have to wash my desk mat, and that's okay. But you do end up getting ink in like different places, which is fine. We're just having fun with it. So that's it, friends. We did some fun painting in our archive book. We did some fun painting, just doing some abstract floral art. There we go. I like exploring both ways of painting with inks. And so, you know, it's kind of up to you if you like painting illustrations that are already there. And if you do, then the ink ponies are a great way of doing that. I'm going to do... I guess it's not going to come up. Yeah, so, you know, if you want to paint on illustrations that you can find a logbook or something like that, or you could do it this way, which is also fun, and it lets you explore the inks and have some fun with it. Thank you so much, Need to Journal. I'm so glad you had fun. Oh, Addie, I'm so glad you joined too. Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to catch a stream. I'll see you next time, and I'll catch you on a different stream too. So have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao, Mrs. G's. I hope you're enjoying Italy. I hope you're having fun. Oh, congrats on affiliate. Oh no, I kind of low-key did that. I signed up. So yeah, I got approved to be a Twitch affiliate, which means I can do like subs and stuff. But I did it because I also wanted to create some emotes, some fun sort of floral themed, something like that. So I'm working on them. So give me another week or so and I'll have some emotes that we can use in our chat and elsewhere too. So yeah, it's just a lot more fun coming. Don't worry. Have a great day. Bye, Jack Toy. Bye, everyone. Have so much fun. I'll see you next time. Go play with stationery. Go have fun with your inks. Okay, bye. I'll see you next time.